I am coming at you today with a bunch of good news for the Detroit Lions. In this, we are going to be talking playoff chances, percentages, and more than that, we know it's 100% that we make the playoffs. The question is, what are our chances of getting that number one overall seed? What are our chances of winning the division? We are going to get into that, but we are also going to talk about the injury report. I have been waiting for this day ever since Thursday, when you just see people get hurt more and more and more. More people are getting hurt. More people are getting hurt. More people are getting hurt. You know, everybody's missing the game. We're throwing out practice squad players against the Packers on Thursday Night Football, and I'm just like, we need our defense back for this home stretch. And we are going to talk injury news. So let's hop into the injury news first, and then I have a really cool chart that I want to show you. But here's my question for you first. How important is that number one seed to you? How important is that bye to you? Do you think we absolutely need it because we need another week of rest to get our players right? Are you against the bye? How important is a top 2 seed so you make sure we have home field advantage for the first 2 weeks? Those are the kind of things that I would love to know. Or do you want that number 1 seed so everything runs through Detroit? So let's first go and take a look at the injuries. And as you can see here, I know it says Sports Talk Extra here. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to that, that's our second channel where we talk a bunch of NFL teams. Don't worry. We make sure we let everybody know that we're Lions fans. All right, let's look at the injury designations. Multiple starters are back practicing. This is really, really good news. And I would say the 2 most important players are back to full practice. And then we'll kind of go from there. But as you can see, Taylor Decker was a full participant in practice. That's good. We talked about how he could be coming back, that he wasn't on the IR. So we thought like, hey, if he doesn't come back this week, then you may as well have just put him on the IR. He's back, full practice. Let's see if he can get more full practices in on Thursday and Friday. Aleem McNeil, an anchor on this defense. We need him back. It is looking like he is going to be back. They're calling it, at first they said it wasn't a concussion, but now it's a concussion. But he's back full practice. That is a really good sign. If it is indeed a concussion, he will be back for the game if he continues. Limited practices for Levi Onwuzurike and Josh Paschal, dealing with what they're dealing with. Those would be huge. If you can get Aleem McNeil and Levi Onwuzurike back fully healthy, and Paschal, that gets your defensive line back to where it needs to be. It really does. And DJ Reader would be important in that, but he did not participate in that practice. So let's go ahead and see kind of what that means for him going forward. We'll see. I don't know how else to say it other than we'll see. But the important part is we are starting to get starters back. The most important piece that we're missing on the offensive side of the ball was back to a full practice. I would make the argument the most important piece is Aleem McNeil on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think that's an argument that can be made. DJ Reader's not more important. Aleem McNeil is the most important piece on that side of the ball. He is coming back. These are really, really good news. So I told you about other things. Now, I did a couple of sources for this, but Honolulu Blues on Twitter posted a chart, and he said it was texted to him, so we don't have this idea of how sure it is. And I would have to assume tiebreak because everybody's wondering, what if we lose? What if we lose to Buffalo? What if we lose to Chicago? What if we lose to San Francisco or Minnesota? Do we still get that 1 seed? According to this chart, as you can see here, all right, I'll zoom in on it for you. All right, according to this chart, obviously if we win out and our record is 16-1, all right, then in that case, we have a 100% chance to get the number 1 seed and win the division. All right, if we lose any one game, whether it's to Buffalo, Chicago, San Francisco, or Minnesota, we still have a 100% chance. I'm assuming this has to do with tiebreakers versus Minnesota. I thought if we lost to Minnesota, our chances greatly decreased, but it must be that one loss, I don't know what that looks like. Minnesota has 2 losses. They both must be either in the division. I don't think they lost one in another one in the division. But anyways, I'll have to look at their schedule, and we will do that later in this video to tell you why I think Minnesota absolutely has a loss coming before they play us, which would make it good. Now, here are the 2-loss scenarios. We still have a 76 or 75% chance, or even 66% chance of winning the number 1 seed, even if we lose 2 games. It's just the division that the percentage goes down. And again, if Minnesota loses a game in the next 3 games, we're there. So I was sitting there and I'm wondering with this chart, like, how accurate is it? And by the way, we can even, if we lose 3 games, yeah, we're in trouble. We're unlikely to win the division. But even if we lose 3 games, as long as it's not to Minnesota, we still have a good chance to win the division, which is nuts to me. So I was like, how accurate is this? So I found another source, playoffstatus.com. The Lions, as currently stand with their percentage, have an 85% chance to get the number 1 overall seed. That is what their chances are over the Eagles. And that's because they own the tiebreak over the Eagles. All right. So even if we lose one of the games going out and the Eagles win out, we still are that number 1 seed. That's why that percentage is so high. We have a 6% chance of getting the number 2. Actually, the team with a higher percent chance of catching us is the Vikings because they play us. Isn't that crazy to think about? And then we have a less than 1% chance of getting the 6 or 7 seed because the Packers would have to leave. We'd have to lose all 4 games. The Packers would have to win all 4 games. And that's just something that's unlikely to happen. So very small chance to do that. Everything is moving toward that. And so I was thinking about this. Let's look at the Viking schedule coming up. We know what our schedule is. We got Buffalo, we got Chicago, we have San Francisco, we have Minnesota. That's not easy. It's not an easy schedule. I would make the argument that somehow the Vikings have an even harder schedule coming up. They just got off. They have a winning streak of their own going. All right. But that winning streak is the Colts, the Jags, the Titans, the Bears, the Cardinals, and the Falcons. That is not murderer's row. Yes, they keep winning, and some of those in very close fashion. All right. But that is not murderer's row. Here's what they have left. Here's what they have left, and this is interesting to me. All right, I'll show it to you. Week 15, yes, next week, this week, they're home against the Bears. Then they travel. This is a Monday night game. Then off a short week, they travel to Seattle. All right, they are at Seattle for what is a 4 o'clock game our time. And then they are the very next Sunday in Green Bay, or at home against Green Bay. So, and then they have us. So what they're looking at is a schedule where they're going to Seattle, a team that is hot right now, in a very difficult venue to win. You don't know what the weather's going to be. You know that they're going to bring it with the 12th man. Then they play the Packers, who are fighting for that playoff seeding, their playoff seeding lives, all right, and any chance they still have to get in there. And then they travel to us. That is a big part of why these stats are good, because going to Seattle, then on a short week back against Green Bay, or going to Seattle on a short week and then Green Bay the next week, that's difficult to do. So I think that's kind of why you're seeing all the chances. Look at us. So injuries, we're getting back some of the key players, at least it looks like early on. And we also are going to be, the Vikings have a tough schedule, so therefore, and we own tie breaks over almost everyone. They say sometimes you can get hot too early, but when you're as hot as the Lions were and you get to 12-1, it affords you some missed opportunities in the back half or the back quarter of the schedule. Let's hope this team keeps the edge. Let's go get that victory. Let's just keep winning games. Let's just keep winning games. The big one for me is let's get that win at Chicago. That's the one you can't lose. Can't lose at Chicago. And that's going to be, I think, one of the hardest games because it's at Chicago. Who knows what the weather is going to be. So there you go. Lots of good news coming off of this kind of mini bye week because you have the extra rest coming off Thursday game. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.